Okay, mic's running. You are running. Cool. We are recording. So what's the bird about for our beginning piece?
Ah, yeah. I needed to. I forgot to introduce Louis to everyone.
Yeah.
He's he might you might hear him today, especially today, because he's very awake. But I have a parrot at home, and since we're doing the podcast, like I'm doing it at my house, so he is in the other room, flying around, always being loud. But especially today because he napped just an hour ago, so I was fully awake and angry that the door is closed to him.
Oh wait, you let him fly around the apartment?
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's so
most of the
cool.
time. Yeah, it's good for them. They like they have more muscle the more they fly. So
You're never scared
it's
that
good.
he flies away?
I mean, I have screens on windows,
Oh,
and the
okay.
only thing is the front door. The front door is dangerous, so everyone knocks, and we're careful.
Are you ever nervous when you're in like when you're asleep and you suddenly wake up and he's just right there?
He sleeps in his cage.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, he's not out all the time. Like I put him in if I'm working out or if I'm cooking, or he's like in one room sometimes. But when like he goes to sleep in his cage, and then he has a sleep cage. He kind of this that's his sleep cage. It's tiny.
It's too blurry.
Yeah,
Don't
but it's
worry.
in this room. That blurry shape is his cage.
Nice.
But yeah,
Nice.
Louis, Sir Louis is well. I'm sure you guys will see him at one point in this podcast.
Hope so. I want to see him.
Yeah, yeah.
So how's the week?
The week's been not bad. A lot of ups and downs. I feel like when you don't have a job, it's just so many ups and downs because there's no routine, so you never know what's gonna happen. Good stuff sometimes, and really not good stuff some other times. But it's been good. How was your week?
Same ups and downs, and then just busy because I was able to get a little bit of side gigs, so that's kind of good, but it has nothing to do with animation.
Nice.
So yeah, overall good.
Still, I mean, yeah, keeping busy is always good, and it's good that you have so many like friends that can give you these gigs. Because
Yeah,
you're not on any website, are you?
no, I am not. No, I
Mm.
tried to sign up for Fiverr the other week, but like they want you to have like a an account with like you pricing for modeling and all this stuff of rigging, and I haven't learned
Oh,
any of that yet. Plus, I can't
mm.
model. I can give you a beautiful sphere, but I can't model.
But you were saying you were learning how to code.
Yeah, so I recommend for anyone that's trying to learn Unity. Unity has some really great like learning stuff, and the course I'm taking right now is called Basic Coding, and they teach you how to code in C sharp. They give you tutorials, and then at the end of each lesson, they give you a test, and then you have
Hmm.
to try to fix the code to
Oh,
what
nice.
they've taught you. Yeah, so it's been pretty good.
Why did you decide to suddenly learn how to code?
I feel like it's something that all these jobs are now asking for people to know, like the Python and
Hmm.
even just for our animators. So I thought, okay, I don't know
It's
how
one
to
of
code.
those, is the plus, like, it's a big plus if you know how to do this part.
Eh,
Yeah, it's not a major requirement for animators, but
Yeah,
definitely a big plus.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I thought the best way to do that is I love video games, so why not try and learn that way how to
Mm.
code? So it's been
Well,
great.
you can't do it in Unreal. It has to be Unity.
No, you could do it in Unreal.
Okay.
I was talking to a lot of my friends that code and they said Unity is a lot easier to kind of learn how to create games. So I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to go that way.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is it a lot different from Unreal?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting enough. Yeah. Unreal, Unreal, I felt like it was a lot easier to use for our film and animation. Unity feels different in a sense where I feel like it's really built for games. I could be totally wrong, but
I mean, I've heard that from a lot of people that Unity, you do a lot of games there and a lot of cinematics more. And I
yeah.
mean, not more, but it has more options for cinematics, I guess, for Unreal.
Yeah, that's a great segue to our guest. He was one of the people that I would work with all the time in Unreal, and I know he helped you out too.
Oh, so many projects. He was a wizard in Unreal. He helped me in like specific things too. I would just message him. Well, first of all, introduce him, and then I can go into detail into how he helped
It's our very own best coworker, one of my good friends at Halon, Rob Brousseu.
me. Yeah, Rob, I haven't talked to him since August. I'm really excited to catch up again. But he was helping me with specific things. I would just on Slack, I would be stuck in Unreal. I'm like, okay, Rob, even if he's not on my project, I know he's gonna respond quickly. So I'm just like, Rob, do you know how to blah 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 blah? And I'll just do a screenshot and I'll be like, yeah, do this, done. Like, other people would explain things in detail, ask questions. He wouldn't. He'd know exactly what I want and explain in like 3 sentences. I
Yeah,
loved it.
he was great at that stuff, and he would do the same with me. He would message. Fun fact: he would message me sometimes and go, "Hey, Alejandro, how do you do this in Unreal?" And then I'd be like, "I don't know, but give me a second, and I'll figure it out too." Some Most of the times he beat me to it, and he was just like, "I got it," and I was like, "Oh, cool." Loved our little work sessions.
Oh
So
yeah, and he had a lot of experience in a lot of different things. So it was good to have someone like that on the team.
yeah, so
Definitely.
let's bring him in.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited.
Hey, Rob,
Hello.
Hello.
how
How you
you
guys doing?
good? How are you doing?
Pretty good. Hanging in there. Hanging in there.
It's been
Oh,
a while. It's been a while for me and you. I haven't talked to you since August.
Yeah, it's true. It's been a while. Yeah, it's almost, what's that, 8 months now?
I
Six.
know.
wait, has it
It's
really been?
8 months.
It's eight?
8 months. It goes
Yeah.
by fast when you're having fun, Alejandro,
Oh
right?
yeah, loads of laughs.
Yeah, yeah. Dang. So how you been, Rob?
I've been good. I've been just learning a few things and I enjoyed the first few months. I took some time and just enjoyed myself, kind of like got away from everything. I
Uh-huh.
didn't feel like, which was good. Like I said, I followed my son's football exploits this year, so it was
Oh,
good that
cool.
I had time to do that and go to the games and just really, because it was a senior year in high school, so it was really good. It was a
Uh-huh.
really good experience, and I had fun doing that. So, now it's
So when did it hit you? When was the month where you're like, okay, I'm done. I need a job. Like, this is too much for
oh,
me.
I think January started, like I was like, okay,
Yeah.
no, after the holidays it's like, okay, start looking. But surveying around, it's like the market's so slow right now, and I have a friend of mine, my next door neighbor works at the third floor, and he just got laid off last week. So
And they're
What?
it,
hiring too. I keep seeing that stuff.
yeah, but what it is, like most of those things are, they're cherry picking.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
They're looking for people that they can get on the cheap, the bounce back. People looking, and it's like, so they're not. Yeah, they're looking, but it's not like there's a lot of projects. I know that the only one that I'd heard about was Proof was hiring for a couple of things,
Uh-huh.
but nothing serious. I mean, third floor is down to like laying off, and he's been there for years. So this is not like
Wow. So
this
they're
is
laying
not.
off seniors.
Oh yeah, this guy's a senior animator. He used to be a lead animator at DreamWorks.
Uh-huh.
So he was like, he's a major guy. Really nice guy he's from Ireland. But yeah, he got laid off. He was a little bit surprised. So
So no one's
it's
So
safe.
he wasn't ready for it then at all. Like he couldn't guess
yeah.
what it was.
Well, they had done they were going at like they were doing like 4 day weeks and then 1 week on, 1 week off kind of thing. So they had been,
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So they
hadn't
had
heard that at all.
Yeah, they had been like, you every second week you're off. So they had been doing that to rotate, I guess, to keep everybody working, rotating them on projects and stuff. But I guess that became, there's just nothing new, and I think that's all because of the threat of the strike, IATSE, and
Oh, that's
the
still going
Teamsters.
on?
Yeah, I mean, I know some of the unions, because IATSE is all a bunch of different unions,
Hmm.
and so they're all negotiating separately. And then once they've all get what they call the regional deals, then they get together and they do like, they all negotiate for more for salary and those kinds of benefits after. And then once that's done, then the Teamsters have to do it. So they're expecting that to end at the end of July. So
What?
Yeah, so it's like most
And
companies,
they say that if they don't get what they want at the end of July, then they're gonna strike. Like actually strike.
basically that's when the strike. Yeah, it's well, the new motto
Just go on
um,
strike.
it's survive to 25. It's like
Survive to 25. That's a
get
Oh,
the
lot of.
damn.
get the 2025. So that's why it's like looking at stuff outside of outside of the industry completely, looking at stuff that maybe that can use our skills in other industries. So you have to start really finding alternate source of income.
Is that what you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean that's what I've been doing, and I'm still looking. I got nothing too serious. I know that I'm fortunate to have one of my cousin is a manager at Epic Games, so he's been looking out, but I haven't found it for me for stuff especially in the kind of design industry and stuff
Uh-huh.
like
Hmm.
outside like so, but I haven't really nothing's connected so far. But you just got to keep trying. But also it's you got to work on those skills,
Yeah,
and
what are you learning?
Yeah.
I'm working on I'm trying to learn a lot of the scripting stuff like the blueprints,
Uh-huh.
that kind of stuff. Kind of trying to get a little bit more of the TD, kind of approach
Yeah.
so that it can be just more valuable to a production. It's like
Mm.
I'm doing art, like I'm right now I'm building some couple different environments and stuff like that, like just to work on making environments that are also don't eat up all your resources. Knowing how to
Oh, are you
optimize
doing
and
that
that.
all in Unreal?
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah.
Well,
So I'm doing.
we didn't mention what you do actually to our viewers. We just introduced you as your
Yeah.
name, like we said your name, and then you
Oh,
work at Halo. So please let us know what you do.
well, my latest incarnation as a career is as an Unreal artist, mostly an Unreal generalist, and I can do a little bit of everything, though I'm not a specialist in any. And now I'm trying to do that. I also have a long history of working in post production and visual effects and compositing and those kinds of things. So I
We can
use
attest to all of that, yes.
yeah, I've worked the industry in a long time in a lot of different roles and a lot of different kind of experiences. So,
Mhm.
the biggest thing that I found is keep adding skills, keep
Yeah.
moving, and it's like something, though you may not feel like you're the greatest expert at it, you have enough to get you in the door when asked upon to do something. Like you get into
Right.
something else, people say, "Can you do this?" You go, yeah, I can do that. I can do some of that. And
Yeah,
so
but underneath you're kind of just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I
oh
don't
yeah,
know what I'm doing.
absolutely, every day. I felt like a fraud since 1985. So as long as I've been in the industry. So yeah, you never. If you're like my thing is, if you feel comfortable, you're on your way out because it's like comfort. If you really
100%.
comfort, you can't. It's look, everything keeps changing, right? The technology keeps changing, the software, everything just keeps evolving. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, now, I mean, and for me, I have to keep doing this because when I started, there was no schools for this. There was you guys had the benefit. Oh, animation, you could take Maya as a class. What?
Yeah.
We had none of that. I mean, so I had to teach myself everything. So it's like that's a good skill to be able to do, is to be able to teach yourself things. But
Yeah.
it's then the competition is much fiercer. You got kids coming out of school where it took me 10 years to learn some of these skills. They're learning it in a couple, two or three. So it's like it's things change. So you have to embrace it and be able to change and go with the flow. So I mean
Exactly. And
that's
that's what I felt with us in Halon. We were actually just talking about that before you jumped on, where it was we would get messages from you in our Slack going like, "Hey Rob, can you help me in this Unreal task? I need this." Or it's, "Hey, can you help me here?" And then it'd be like, "Yeah. I'll jump on a call real quick." And then
yeah.
most of the time I just, for me it was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but sure I can help. Yeah. I, you were like our
Every
go-to guy.
I think
I
sometimes for me, I would just send you a screenshot. Like I would be in so much of a hurry.
yeah.
I'd be like, screenshot. I'm sure you know what I want.
I
Just tell me
remember
what
seeing
to
a
do.
lot of monkey screenshots. There was always a
Oh,
lot of monkeys.
so many. Planet of the Apes was so Unreal heavy. And I
Oh
was
my
so
God.
glad you were on that project with me. I was
I was
dying.
on, I was only on it for a while, and mostly they had me doing a lot of comp work, which was okay, but it was or tracking work, which was
Tracking, which wasn't your favorite, I remember.
that was the thing, that was my weakest thing. I was like, tracking? Are you kidding me?
But you were so good at it that they kept giving you all of
Oh,
them. So it was
it, again, it's like mostly just staying up at night, going, what am I doing? Scouring the internet for any kind of tutorial on what I'm doing, what to do and what I'm doing wrong. So it's yeah, that
well,
Halon was a
you're good
good
at
challenge.
that.
Halon was a good challenge because every day was something, especially on Atlas, where I would get tasked with shots that I don't know what the supervisor would say, I don't know what it should look like, but can you go do this?
Yep.
It's just like, okay, yeah, you got it. I'll do something. And we have to have it by 5 o'clock today. So it was just like that
Yeah, the
was,
deadlines were crazy on that project. But I think it was really fun because of all this.
yeah, I think
Yes.
that's going to be a terrific show. And I
Oh,
think
I think so
James
too.
Gaines
I will
Yeah, it's
say,
coming out soon.
yeah,
did.
yeah. But like I hated those deadlines because I also had that where we would have to like you just get a message from James going, "Hey, you need to take this animation. I know it's in previs, but you have to put it in their stage and make it work." And you're like, "James, it's broken. Good luck."
That's why we pay you. Figure it out.
It was like,
Yeah.
"Okay."
Yeah. No, he was very understanding, but yeah, there was. I mean, we did everything on that pre-viz, post-viz,
We
and
did
tech
everything.
viz,
We
and
did
it was
also
just
tech
like,
viz.
I mean, the tech viz was interesting,
Yep.
especially that the.
That was my first time doing tech viz. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't even know why we had to do that because I remember we had to reverse engineer everything we did with the post viz afterwards. I'm like, we spent so much time already. Like, why? That's why movies may have to have so much of it, like a big budget because of this
Yep.
back and forth.
I
But
think,
I learned so much. I'm not
yeah, I
complaining.
think, quite frankly, I think Atlas was a lot of first timers, a lot of and it's like, frankly, it turned out to be one of the better shows in our while we were there in
I
Can
think
I
terms
so
of
can I
too.
just.
just tell you guys my favorite note of that project I remember getting from James in a meeting was,
But that's just we keep talking about James. James was the supervisor
oh
on
yeah,
our show, just for
yes,
everyone
at
to know.
James
Halon,
Evans.
he's a great supervisor. Can't wait to have
Anyway,
him on here. We'll get him on. But my
yes.
favorite note was he came in and he's like, Alejandro, your shot, the client said that the actress in the film didn't think the movement was strong enough. Can you please make it move a lot more? And I'm like, are you serious? Yes. Oh, okay. And
Yeah, that's the nature of the industry. You get notes, you go like, who's giving these notes? Okay, you gotta. It's like, but James would be like, this is what we
I,
get.
I love this thing that he would do. He would
yep.
just,
Yeah,
and then you'll know what the deal is.
yeah. It's like, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, that's what I liked about the show. I mean, for me, I got to do a lot of different things on it, and you know, um, I worked at about 6 different projects, I think, while I was at Halon. You guys must have worked on at least that as well.
Yeah, I think around the same for me.
I
Yeah.
had a lot. I
I
had a lot
stayed on
more.
you
Yeah,
because you jumped from project to project so much.
Yeah.
I was like a lot. I was on Atlas since it started to the very end.
yeah.
So it was like a big chunk of my time was on
Yeah,
that
I kept
movie.
jumping. But I will say, Rob and I have one of, I have a memory of it in Halon, which was like, it was like, I think like a week or maybe 7 days or something long that it just,
Oh, I know what it is.
Are you talking about the previs for the concert?
oh yeah. Oh
That
yeah.
was for the Eras tour. They were trying to pitch. There was a designer who was trying to pitch a whole sequence for
Taylor
which
Swift.
they did end up doing in the show.
Which
Um,
I think they didn't do all of them, but they did
but
do
they
a
did
few.
the one, yeah, the one I worked on.
Yep.
It was in there.
We still never got our tickets.
No,
No.
I did go see the show though. The show was something else.
Did you pay a
So
lot of money for those seats?
yeah, we bought it for our daughters. So there, and we bought them 4 tickets to
Oh
go.
my God.
And yeah,
You helped her become a billionaire, Rob.
I know. So but they asked for they invited one of their friends, but then as a Christmas gift, they invited me to go with them, which was very
Oh,
nice. So it was a
Oh,
nice,
that's so
it
sweet.
was a nice evening at SoFi Stadium with my daughter. So I appreciated that. It was just before they went off to school, to college, so it was like this is great time, great experience, and long concert. I've never been to a concert that was that long, and where people screamed from the first moment to the last moment, screamed at the top of their lungs the whole time. I was like, I figured this is what the Beatlemania must have been like.
oh, 100%.
I always think
But
those people don't hear anything. Like they just hear their own screams and there are other people
it's just
screaming. They
about
don't hear
being
the
there.
concert. Yeah,
It's just
the
about being,
energy.
and people were singing every song at the top of
Mhm.
their lungs. I'm like, don't you want to listen to it? Nope. It's just like I guess it's more of the feeling of 70,000 people
Oh yeah,
screaming
it's
and
Well,
singing
didn't you
all at the
guys
same
know that
time.
she actually doesn't sing? She just lets them all sing.
She doesn't need
She
to.
doesn't need to.
You can barely hear her. So, but we had
Oh.
like really nosebleed seats. So thank God they had the big screens because she was tiny. She was about this big. I was like, oh my God, she's so small.
So the one you did for the one that they showed was you had like the thousand or like hundreds of Taylor Swifts all over the place,
Yeah,
right?
and then they're all in their little boxes, and we did that one. Yeah,
Oh,
that
the
one I
one
had
that
to time
tilted
up.
down like fell?
I did that.
Oh man, that's
I did
cool.
that one, and but the screen popping up the whole thing. That's the one I had to time out. That was where I spent the most majority of my time because I was trying to figure. The direction was it can't all be can't it has to look random, but not too random. Like okay, random, not too random.
Yeah,
There you
that
go.
guy had a lot of notes. A lot of
Oh,
notes.
yeah, very specific. He seemed
He was
very
always on
angry.
vacation too at the beach.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
on
sort of.
vacation, but he was very angry all the time. I'm like,
Yeah,
you shouldn't
he
be.
would call the supervisor Casey, and like in their meetings, he would just be like, "Hey, I'm about to catch a plane, but I'm at the beach real quick. I'll come back later, and then we'll talk more." It's like, dang. Okay, poor Casey. Ah,
But I mean, for you guys, was Hale on your first like
yep.
your first major like job in the industry in terms of
For me, it was the second because I
the
was
sec
at 2K before. So but this was my
oh
first like movie previous job.
2K was the games, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did
games.
most of the games before that.
Yeah, for me, it was my first.
So, what did you guys think of it? Because I mean, I gotta say, from my point of view, it was a pretty orderly production for the most part for most of the stuff. But I wanted to find out what you guys thought about, like, what you thought of the
Well,
process the first
I would
time.
love to hear. Yeah, we'll say that, but then I also want to hear because you have the experience, so we would love to see you compare the others. Um,
Exactly.
so I mean, I don't know if you want to go first. You want me to go first?
You go first. You go first.
For my first job, I thought it was great. I mean, I thought the coworkers I worked with was they were all wonderful. The supervisors were always so helpful. They all had the same answer of,
Yeah,
yeah,
nobody knows anything.
no one
That's for
knows
damn
anything.
sure.
But they trusted me so much that it's like I felt like just by trusting me, I felt like I my skills just kept growing and growing, which I thought really helped me. And then yeah, the day that we all got that email just boom, just hurt.
Yeah. The management was something, but what I did like is we were artist led. Like
Yep.
artists would be leading you, not like you as you could see the difference between the managers and then the artists and the
Oh,
Yeah.
huge.
supervisor. Yeah, so thank God that our meetings were our with artists
Yeah.
and supervisors that were animators rather than just pure, schedule people
I mean,
because
when it came up to projects, that was great. But then when it came up to things that we needed to know about the company and how it's going, then I would rather talk to a manager, which we weren't getting. So
no,
those were parts that I thought it was a little weak at, but the team was so strong that you would like just not look at the other stuff. It was worth it. All
yeah.
the people that were around you, the amount of respect that you would get, even if you didn't know what you were doing, they would just be like, I also don't know what I'm doing. We'll figure it out together. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
they're
That was amazing.
They were
Yeah.
very like they were nourishing that way. They were like, oh yeah, help you along, try to get you going, and like, hey, don't worry about it. I always felt like there's a lot of times when like I would get assigned like a lot of shots to get done for the end of the day, like really important shots. And I was like, man, that's a lot of pressure. And I felt the pressure at some point. But they were always like, don't worry about it so much. You push through it, you can get done, and and
Yeah.
that's it. And it's like it was a little bit different than some of the places that I've been to before, where it gets done. You don't go home. Um, you know,
Exactly. Like OT is a huge thing. In other companies, I also felt like you just kind of felt like you needed to do it.
mhm.
But at Halon, you chose to, and no one would say anything or like
I didn't
you wouldn't
know.
feel like it.
I didn't know you got paid for OT for in the first 6 months I was working there. I was working for like they were asking me, "Oh, can you stay a little bit later?" I said, "Okay, yeah, sure." And like, cause when I got onboarded, they were saying like, "Oh, you have to be authorized for OT." So I thought it was
Right.
an official authorization. They say, "Oh yeah, can you stay and do this and that?" I didn't know that
That
was
was the
that
authorization.
was
I'm
yeah.
in I'm in the same boat. I actually will admit I'm in the same boat. They would also say like, yeah, can you just finish this little task? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I can do that. Like it was like 30, 40 minutes. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I got it. I didn't know I could charge the 30 minutes. I always put 6 o'clock.
Same here. I was like, why are they even making us fill out the time cards? Because they were
What
basically.
really? I didn't. I would be like, even if I worked until 7:05 or like 6:05, I would say 6:05.
Oh, I
I
would
didn't
just
do
let it
that.
go. I did hours on Atlas. I'd stay like sometimes because sometimes James wouldn't deliver till like 7 or 8 o'clock at night or whatever,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'd work all the way up until then. I was done at 6. I was like 2 hours. That was at least a couple times a week for like a couple months. I was like, and then finally I said, and he said, well, at some point he said to me, he goes, well, at least you're getting some more time, some OT. And I said, what OT? I haven't
Oh
been putting in.
no.
He was like, what?
Oh no, Rob.
He was like, what? You haven't been. He was flabbergasted. So I
Oh
was
my
like,
God, on the day you got laid off, you should have said, "Excuse me, I made this mistake. You need to back pay me for all
yeah,
these
oh,
OTs that I didn't say." No, we
and
also would get really fun projects too. Like
yes,
I liked out of all the stuff that I did, I didn't enjoy Avastars that much because the production was
I
just,
know Alejandro did. He was a big Avastars guy.
Man, they so you
he
you
was the
remember
star on the show.
yeah, you remember
Facial
that
star.
that comment we said where it's like you always just say yes to everything? On that show, I said yes to everything and I got to the point where I suddenly started getting messages from the higher ups. They're like, "Hey, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me?"
Oh
And
yeah.
then my list kept growing and they're like, "Hey, you're doing great, but now I need you to do even more." And I'm like, "Oh God." Yeah.
There were so many shows going on. I didn't even heard it. Like I didn't know there was like that "Fly Me to the Moon"
Didn't
I
project.
even.
know, I was also surprised. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, I never heard. I think I got called in. Shravi, I think, worked on that, and she
Hmm.
asked me to solve some Unreal issues for her on the show. But all I saw was like, oh, that looks fun. It looks like a spaceship. It looks like an Apollo spaceship. That
I
looks
think
kind of cool. But
a
I
lot
didn't.
of the times, a lot of times they would have like two people or three animators on in the project, and they will be gone for like 10 days, and they'll kind of jump back on the project they
Yeah.
were on, and that's where they would go. Was
Okay.
like on another project.
Real quick, Rob, you labeled as a senior animator at Halon?
That's what they. I don't know. I
How? What? What was that about?
I was hired. I don't know why this happened, but yeah, they had me down as a senior animator. I'm like, is it my age? And it was like, because I was surely when I was on board, I said, I'm here on Unreal, and it was
Yeah.
for the Sphere project. That was
Hmm.
what I was brought on
The
for.
one in Vegas.
That
Yeah,
was that was a fun one too.
that was great. That was a
Yeah.
lot of
I
fun.
wish I was on that.
That one was a
I'm
lot. That one was there were a lot of
jealous.
great people on it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it was it was with Andre, which was fun. And we were all figuring out stuff. And the virtual sessions in the dome were kind of that was
Oh,
kind
that
of
was
neat.
really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then just during the holiday break, like the entire company all took off except us. And then
yeah,
it was really weird because then Andre would take off and I didn't take off. So at one point, I was like the only person on Slack. So I just kept working on my things on certain days where no one was there. And I'm like,
Because
I
you would
don't
never
know.
take time off. Like you would work all the time.
I didn't, I like my family's in a different state. So I was like, I got nothing
Work.
else to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not? Why not? Man, I worked a couple of the holidays too. I was like, my most of my kids are all older. They don't need to see me.
Okay. So a question for you, Rob. So Halon
Mhm.
was really good with work-life balance with the family and
Mhm.
whatnot. What about your previous jobs? How were they like?
A lot of the jobs, like almost my entire work career has been non-union, and non-union jobs in the industry are typical for being time suckers. In other words, they will abuse the amount of time
Mm.
that they will take. We're 13, 14, 16-hour days, not uncommon, and you're expected, and it's
Wow.
almost like the culture to
Yeah.
do that. So when I've worked, you know, in other places, it was the expectation is, oh yeah, they always say, oh, when it's not busy, you can take off. But nobody ever likes it if you take off early when it's not busy. You're not supposed to. But you were expected to stay until a project gets done. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
And
that
you don't get paid the OT if you
no,
stay.
you don't pay. You don't pay. You were supposed to. They get this thing. It's like Disney's really big at this, where they create. Oh, we have a culture. It's like a family. Like everybody. Oh, we're all together in this.
I
Everybody.
see.
You know what I mean? So they make it seem like it is, but it's not a family. It is a
Yeah.
business, and don't say it's a family. It's not a family. I'm gonna make some. I'm gonna meet some people at work. I'm gonna make work friends. I'm gonna make some people that I continue to communicate with, but it's not a family. You know what I mean? And the fact that they try to sell it that way is really a false narrative.
It's
Um,
funny because if anything, at Halon, we're more of a family. Like I would really stay on because I would want James to have a project that he's proud of. So
yes,
this is,
exactly.
Yep.
In the thing, but at least, but
it wasn't
no,
expected.
it was the first place that said we're going to pay overtime. I'm like,
Hmm.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, sounds good.
sounds good. So I didn't mind doing it once. I was doing it for free because I was used to doing it for free.
Yeah.
So they said, oh, you can charge for overtime. I was like, what? Oh, okay.
So
And then
was
I
that
did.
something that you would accept, like switching jobs, you would be just thinking that that's how it was going to be in the next job and the next job?
Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
especially I was a lot of the times, even though I was doing art stuff, I was also assigned as a supervisor. And the
Mhm.
way
Hmm.
that they can get away with like with not, if you're in a union shop, is if you're a supervisor, you're not union, So it's the same for like editorial departments, like the assistant editors and the editors, they could be union, but if you were a supervisor, like an editorial supervisor,
You're
you
suddenly
don't.
not.
Yeah,
Wow.
You're
they're
not.
working overtime and you're there to support them, but you're not. You know what I
That's
mean?
yeah.
So it's kind of management. When they make you management, then they can. So it's like that. I mean, there's a lot of people. I have friends who work in union, and you know they get when they do overtime, they get paid a lot of money. Like I've got friends who work at Disney as assistant editors, and they get golden time, which is like
Hmm.
you know 2 times the rate or whatever. And
Dang.
it's like, yeah, they have checks. Like they tell me they get paid per week with overtime. I'm like, Jesus, it's
Wow.
it's
Well,
it,
now that you know that this kind of like, well, let's say the industry wasn't as it was now. It was in what, like 2 years ago. Now
Mhm.
that you know that a company like Halon exists, and yet you can't have that even if, like, I guess my question is, would you avoid going into a company that is like the companies that you worked at before, now that you
now.
know how good this one is?
Yeah, but also there's going to be certain things that attract you. Sometimes the project will
Yeah.
attract
Mm.
you. Like, and you go, okay, is it worth me having working on a project that has name recognition that I could use that does give me like something like this? It's always nice to be able to work on something when people go, "What'd you work on?" and you name it, and they go, "Oh, I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
that helps. Yeah,
right.
that does help." But no, not I now, Halon because they got, I don't think the pre NEP Halon was as, like, from what I understand, people worked a lot harder and a lot longer hours and not get overtime. I think those kinds of things happened once they went into NEP and those kinds of things when they got.
When I worked, I mean, not that I worked for a long time when they were before that, but we would get paid for OT.
Yeah.
I never marked it. I worked like 4 projects before NEP, and I never marked it because, again, I didn't know. Like Rob, I don't know if you knew, but I worked 2 jobs before I actually became an employee at
Oh,
uh,
really?
at Halon. Yeah, I'd go work at a supermarket from like early in the morning, so like let's say 1 in the morning, and then I would get off at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then at 9 go straight into Halon, work that whole shift.
Oh my Lord.
Because they kept like, okay, this actually brings up a great segment. Like they kept sending me contracts for 2 weeks worth of work.
Oh yeah,
Is
yeah.
that what the industry's like?
Yes, you're gonna
Okay.
find that a lot of times, like you're at will, right? So they can say they'll hire
Yeah.
you, like, we'll give you a month, and then we'll see, and then they'll come back, and at the end of that month, like, oh, we'd like to keep you on for an extra 2 3 weeks, two
Yeah,
weeks, and then go like that. So you have no real, you don't know, and then, but when you're done, it's not like they're giving you 2 weeks notice. They say, oh, you end your day is Friday, you're done.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
it's like, so it's kind of one of those things that I don't know if that's going to get better or how it's going to get better, but there's a lot of ad hoc where you're lucky to get picked up. They don't give you, like, oh, we're going to keep you for X, for this long, you know. Um,
Did you have to move for any jobs that you got?
no, I mean, part of my career or a long time for my career, I owned my own business.
okay.
So
Oh,
I
What is it
wow.
called?
Yeah, tell us more.
It was called Hyper Image. It was a post production house, an animation house. We were around for almost 20 years.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, we did a lot of different things. We worked. I mean, we did the post production, all the post production work, which is the editorial, and the sound, and the
Yeah.
graphics, and the finishing for a lot of animated product. And then we also did visual effects for a bunch of movies, for like home video movies, like for family type movies.
Can you
Very
name
cool.
one?
And it's all the Olsen twins. You remember the Olsen twins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
All
love
those
those
movies.
movies.
I worked on
No,
all.
seriously?
See, I did all those movies. If you look up on the grids, yeah, hybrid. I was the visual effects supervisor for a
That's
bunch of those
cool.
What?
movies,
That's crazy.
I designed most of the main titles, which was one of the things. I was creative director at my own studio. So, and then I did there. I directed some projects for some clients. Our friend Martin, which was a feature for Fox. I did that, and also I worked on the Roughneck Starship Troopers, the Roughneck Chronicles, which was a
I don't know that one.
Yeah,
yeah,
me
that was
neither.
and it was one of the first CGI shows from Sony,
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
and I was one of the CGI directors, so I directed multiple episodes of MoCap,
Okay.
and then saw the whole process through. We had picked up episodes from. We were known a lot of the time as a savior studio. In other words, like people would run into trouble, or another studio they would come to us, and we would make it right for them. So we had that reputation. And especially the guys from uh, I some of the guys that I worked with, like that's how we got like the Simpsons ride. Like we did this. You ever been to the Simpsons ride at
Oh yeah.
Universal?
Yeah.
We did my company did one whole stunt show sequence. We did that sequence, the animation for that.
Oh wow.
Very cool.
Yeah, we had picked that up from uh, another company, Richard Reynes, who was the producer of The Simpsons.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
I've known him since forever, and so he kept calling me up like, "Hey, we need like they ran in with another studio, and they said we don't like the way this studio's doing it. We don't like where it's going. Can you come in and can you come in and take this over and get this done for us? But we have no time. It was always we have no time.
Right.
So every time, so this would happen. We did the same thing happened when we did the animated the main title for the Ghostbusters television series at Sony.
Nice, nice.
Ghostbusters. Yeah, we had to do that in a weekend.
Oh my God, what a deadline.
Wow.
Oh
had to do all sorts of stuff. Like we would do crazy stuff. Like my studio was, it was a small. We had about 12 people.
Did you always know that you wanted to have your own studio, or did it just?
It happened because I knew that I wanted to do. I had done a lot of post production. I was a post production supervisor. I worked on a bunch of shows. Like I don't know where on earth is Carmen San Diego.
I love that
Oh, that
show.
was a cool show, yeah.
I was a post supervisor on that. Probably a lot of the shows that you guys saw as kids, I worked on. Like
That's crazy.
the Super Mario Brothers,
Great. The movie or the show?
the TV series
The
from a
TV
long time
series.
ago.
Yeah.
I worked on all those kinds of shows. So I was doing a lot of post production work, supervising in the bays and edit bays and stuff. And so I was working on that kind of stuff. And then I got hired to a place called Franklin Waterman.
Uh-huh.
Steve Waterman was a big executive producer. He did the movies about the mouse, Richard Little,
Oh,
Stuart Little, the Stuart Little movies.
yes.
Remember those? Yeah.
I
So
love
Yeah.
those too.
he's the guy who purchased that IP for Sony, and he's the executive producer. Anyway, he had his own company.
With Michael J. Fox, right, as the voice?
Yeah. So they used
Yes.
to. I got hired by them to direct an adaptation of a Sega video game called Mutant League. And so I did that, which was 40 episodes, and that was down in Santa Monica, which I hated. I live in Glendale. I had to drive to Santa Monica every day. That was the worst experience of my life. It was a good opportunity. I got to direct 40 episodes of that, and then I directed a couple others here. So a lot of animation directing, a lot of low budget animation directing. So
I think the main thing is that you had job stability for 20 years,
yes,
which
and
is
I was
rare.
yeah, I had a lot of stability, and then
Yeah,
what
so what
happened
happened?
is what happened was the crash of 2008 happened.
Right.
Ah,
And so my company, we lost some of my major clients went under. The biggest animation company, that I was working with, DIC, they got bought out by a Canadian company who said, "Oh, we're going to keep our work here and everything in LA," and they just took off to Canada, and all the work was gone. So a lot
wow.
of people lost their work. So I lost I'd say about 60% of my revenue, and at that point, it started stressing the financials of the company, and we lasted about another 3 years. After that, so about 2011, 2012,
Mhm.
we closed the company, and that's when I started to work for. I went to work for uh, who is it that I worked for first? It was Wild Brain. I worked for Wild Brain, which
How
was
was it going from being your own boss and then having
it
to
was
work?
hard. I gotta say, it was hard to go from being a boss. They had hired me there to be director of post production, which was they didn't have facilities, so they had me build out complete facilities because I had designed and built my own facility. It was like a 10,000 square foot facility. So they asked me to come in and take control of their post production and build them out a studio, and that's when they got. I became. I designed the kind of the workflow for How to Train Your Dragon for
The movie?
no How to Train Your Dragon, the TV. I worked mostly in TV.
Okay, the
The
TV
TV series.
series. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the first project that DreamWorks was going to do outside of the studio because the television budgets weren't big enough for them to do it inside the studios with the youth. So they're like, okay, we're going to do overseas animation controlled here in Los Angeles, and we're going to do all the editorial. So they asked me to set up the whole kind of like the workflow, like how everything would work. And,
And I feel like that kind of got picked up like that. Like a lot of kind of studios starting doing that
yes, it came
around
from
that time.
low budget where I came from because that was at first, like when I first started, people were doing like the animation, trying to do as much here in LA and everything.
Mhm.
The actual artist work was the first thing to go in anything but design. All design, storyboarding, all that stuff would be done here, but any animation that was all overseas. I mean, it was all first it started in Japan, and then it went to Korea, and then it went to India, and then it went to it's like down the
It
line.
went to Korea at some point. I had no
Oh yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Oh yeah, Korea was
Oh,
big. Japan was first. They got too expensive. Korea was second. They got too expensive. India was then. They got and then went. We also did the Philippines. We did. It's like every
Canada's still in there now.
Canada's
Yeah.
in. Canada was big because you had the tax credits, and it was
Yep.
also you did
yeah.
a lot of the pre-production. You could package pre-production up there. Sometimes you had really small productions here, which they just do the scripts,
Yeah.
Mm.
and then it was ever the
And
rest of
then
it
they
was done
just send
somewhere
it
else.
off.
Yeah. So though a lot of the problem was they expected the clients still expected like something that had like the feeling of a Los Angeles US made product, but they weren't getting it, so they started pulling back post production and editorial and things like that to from these things, so that which was my bread and butter for a long time. We did pre and post, pre-production and post-production, and we did 3D animation. We did a bunch of shows. We did like graphics packages for a bunch of shows and things like that. So I had a really good business.
It seemed like there was a major shift then around that year, like 2012, you said?
On
2013,
2008 when there was the first crash.
the crash, but then the shift happened a few years after.
Yes, yeah, and then the shift in the anime, and then it became the norm now that everything was overseas. And there's no television animation, and we could see it. It's going to happen, and everybody kept saying it's going to happen in the future. It's
Yeah.
happening. It's like I mean, they can't studios
Yeah,
can't.
I was gonna say there seems like there's gonna be another shift now. Like everyone's going towards it, everyone hears it, and that's why there aren't that many jobs available
Yeah,
because the shift is happening.
the
Yeah.
So
shift
everyone's waiting.
happened. It's gone in spurts. In other words, it's tried and it's failed in certain things, and then the industry itself goes through these boom or bust kind of times. And so, the biggest thing, like one of the big things that killed animation was when syndication,
Hmm.
when it used to be a thing where, you have the networks and then you'd have shows that go into syndication, which are sold independently to stations around the United States, or whatever. You could produce animation shows just in syndication. And the company that I worked for at one point, they made so much money in that market. They
Hmm.
were able to, but then that went away. It's like that went away, and then the network stopped doing animation. Remember Saturday morning animation?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I remember it was like people would say, "Oh my God, Saturday morning's never gonna leave." Boom, and they sold off like they actually sold off the time slots, like the 8 a.m., 8 to 10, or 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Saturday morning. CBS actually sold that to whoever wanted to program into it. You know what I mean? It was like they
Yeah.
weren't doing it anymore. So it's been that erosion and that
Hmm.
reshifting of the market as money as profit margins have gone down. Like when it was the syndication, there was so much money to do shows, it was ridiculous. Like bigger budgets than you get now.
Yeah.
And ever since then, budgets has just eroded. Um,
But then have you ever gone through something like this before? Like this long of a
yeah,
recession?
this
It's
there's
pretty
a lot more
long.
there's a lot more stresses now. I mean, these strikes was the strike that went through was one of the longest. I
Yeah.
mean, there was one in I think in 2003. There was
Hmm.
a long strike as well that hit, but it didn't because a lot of the shows that I did were non-union shows, so
Hmm.
it didn't hit us as bad. But the
This one.
writers,
This one really hit us.
oh, this one hit yeah,
Yeah.
this one hit us, and then we're also in the thing where the stresses on the streaming market are also hitting, where things aren't as profitable as they
Thought they would
want.
be. Yeah.
Yeah, we had the pandemic, which kind of created this false kind of like, people thought, oh my God, everything's
It's
going to be
gonna be
streaming.
streaming. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, and they realize, okay, we're going to create all this product for it, but then there's not enough return on that investment. There's only so many, there's only so many people you can get to watch these shows. It's like, Disney Channel, even Disney Channel's losing
A lot. Yeah.
they're losing money. Lost $1 billion last year or something.
Well,
So it's
so
like,
like that's what I'm scared of, and I mean, you can say what you guys think, but what I'm scared is that all these situations of like overseas going, sending jobs, the strikes, it's just taking all us our creative artists and whatnot, and we're just gonna get to a point where it's like the list of how many people want to do this is gonna be very small
I
because
mean,
everyone's changing.
we're also not talking about the biggest elephant in the room. Like AI is huge, and
That is.
everyone is just it really everyone talks about the fact that oh it's gonna take over our jobs, and then there was a few minutes that it wasn't a big deal, and they were like, no, calm down, it's gonna be fine. But then now again, it seems like no, it really already has, and it's
Yes.
going to do that very quickly this year.
There hasn't been, I feel like right now, there hasn't been as many market pressures on the industry as there have been in past. Like
Yeah.
you've got AI, you've got the strikes that have caused, you got the streamers, you got the basically the collapse of revenue streams that used to be more stable.
Mhm.
So it's and the animators that work right now, animation has always been a that's a it's I mean
It's a
it's
hit
a
or miss.
margin. It's a hit or miss, and it's a marginal industry, really,
Yep.
in the entertainment industry. It's always been like when I got into it, it was derided. It's like, oh, you work in animation. It's like, it was like, oh, gee, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, so um, it was so, but the pressures now on it of AI. It's like everybody expects AI. Even when Halon said, oh, on Demeter we used AI tools on Demeter. I'm like,
So
what are you
for our viewers, there was a post on LinkedIn from Halon that mentioned that we worked on Demeter, the movie that came out just a few months ago,
Yes.
and they mentioned that we use AI for the post-viz section of the project. Um, and I wasn't on it, but from everything I've heard, and Rob, you can explain more, but there was no use of AI.
You know what our AI was? Rotobrush. That was AI because there's used it. There was no other. They said they used it for comping and for. I'm like, I comped a ton of shots on that show, and it
But
was all
rotor
Rotobrush.
brushing has existed. Like it's not
Yeah,
like
but that's where I think AI is gonna go. And just to give you guys heads up, we have less than 15 minutes on the
We
call.
gotta wrap this up.
But what I wanted to say was I think right now AI is gonna be used more as a tool
Yes.
for us. And I feel like that's what we need to start learning how to use for in our
Yes.
in our fields. I think I'm hoping in like 10, 15 years, push AI to finally take over our jobs. I do see that happening. But
I honestly think it's gonna be a lot earlier than that.
The
And I've
thing
already
is,
heard people
yeah.
getting replaced by AI
Well,
now.
yeah, I think what the biggest thing is, the artist knows that AI can't do it all, and
yep,
AI has to be a tool. But
Management,
the
they don't.
executive,
they don't
they're
know
like,
that.
how do I cut people?
Yep.
How do like my budgets are getting smaller? That means I can't have as many people. Oh, we're gonna go on AI, so everybody jumps on a bandwagon. Very bandwagony.
What
This
do you
whole
think?
industry.
One of the questions that I really want to ask you is you've been in the industry for a long time and you've been through all these ups and downs. Do you think a new student that wants to enter the industry right now with everything that's going on, do you
Is it worth it?
recommend them? Is
Yeah.
it worth them to?
Well, I always recommend people, if you're going to study something, study what you really want, because that's part of the growth as a person. But you have to be realistic in terms of, if you're saying I'm only going to do X kind of job, like in animation, I only want to do character stuff, or I only want to do this. I think you need to make sure that you're doing you're concentrating on your absolute best thing that you can do, but you also have to develop complementary skills
Yeah.
and complementary things. You don't. It's hard to be. You're going to find it's hard to be one thing all the time, and because
So being a generalist is valuable.
I believe a generalist, yes,
Yep.
because it allows you more options to get in, and then more options to then it's nice to be a Swiss Army knife.
Mm.
There's some guys that are rock stars that, oh my God, this person doing this is just unbelievable, and that will come out, and you may not even know what you're best at yet.
Mhm.
That's the thing. Don't think you just. It's like, allow yourself the opportunity to learn and invest yourself into uh, complementary disciplines to see what you're truly. Because I mean, it's like I I never started saying I'm going to just do this. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I was like more interested in, I want to be in the industry and I want to work in it and I want to find the best way that I can be creative in my own way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and I think that's a good thing. Just don't expect. I mean, I remember people coming out of college though, going like, "Oh yeah, I remember there." Just as an example, I'm just gonna pull a number out of my head, but there were people that would come out and go like, "Oh, I couldn't possibly take a job as an intro animator for less than $85,000 a year." I'm like, then if you're saying that in an interview, you're limiting yourself.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's like it's yeah, great. If you think you're valued, it's great. You have to always maintain, but you have to be realistic as how that you can attain the money that you believe you're worth. And I think that experience gets that, and the ability to get the job done is is kind of like the biggest thing in Hollywood. It's like
And what do you think? So, if someone wants to become a Unreal artist or is and wants to become a like get promoted, what softwares do you recommend they should know? Because you're saying a generalist. So,
yeah, general like I mean, there's this could change. I mean, Unreal. I think
at the moment.
yeah, at the moment, right now, Unreal is good. You got to know the base. I mean, you got to know Maya. You got to know. I think Unreal is in terms of rendering and being able to
And now animating. You can
and
now
now
animate.
anim
And
yeah,
now
Yeah.
animating. Yeah.
version 5.4 is ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like it's
Very fun to play with.
yeah, and I mean like the fact that you can just create a control rig on anything, like just
It's amazing.
It's
just
making
like
life a
quick
lot
steps.
easier now.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like where they knew the thing is, this is a kind of tool that the development thrown at it is ridiculous. It's like most softwares do not get this kind of development schedule. Like they're everything to everyone, kind of.
And that's what they're pushing for. Yeah.
They're the one-stop shop, and I think it is. It's the greatest thing. It's like it will be used in the next couple of years. You'll see complete features completely
Hmm.
rendered. And,
Yeah.
you will see things come out that you go like, oh, that's done in Unreal. It's like nobody would have thought of that. The Render Man movies. It's like you're gonna get there,
Yeah.
and it's not gonna take long. So
So
I,
Unreal, viewers, don't forget,
Unreal,
learn Unreal. If you don't know already, go learn.
real time
Yeah.
is
Real
where
time
real
animation,
time is where it's
everything.
at. Real
Yeah.
time is
Hmm.
like yeah, you know, and I find that Unreal probably in terms of all like the packages and stuff is probably pretty easy to get into. It has a pretty uh, I would say like good learning curve. It's like
Hmm.
it can get really complex, but you can get basic stuff done pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So, and it allows you to room to grow at your own pace, which I like about it. And it's like, and there's always something new to learn. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's nothing. There's nothing it really can't do at this point. I
True.
mean, and so, and the other thing is compositing. I mean, in Photoshop, you got to have Photoshop, no
You
matter
gotta have
what.
Photoshop skills.
No matter
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
Photoshop, After Effects, you can't go wrong with those tools. At some point you're gonna have motion graphics. At some point, and it's like After Effects is probably the easiest to use
Yeah.
for 2D motion graphics. So I think that those three are probably the key. I would think you're still gonna need a 3D program, but I'm thinking less and less. I'm seeing more and more stuff going like all done in Unreal.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it's
We're
starting
Unreal
getting
or
there.
Blender. That's another one.
Blender. I would say
Seeing a
Blenders.
lot of
I
Blender.
like those because it's how a project, um, how a software is developed and
Yep.
how much, and it's like Blender is a really strong, they come out with a new version every couple of months and it's like they're adding key features. It's like, um, and they're free, so it's easy to get into and you can learn. I mean, it may not you can translate those skills to other software. I think that once if you know Blender, you can translate at some point to
Yeah.
Maya
To other
without.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like knowing Unreal or is you can go to Unity. It's like but Unreal is just I think is to me is the key to the future. I've always thought it's the future. I always thought I was saying to people in animation 10 years ago, game engines are how TV shows.
Are gonna
Did
be
you say
made.
this 10 years ago?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, tell us what's going to happen
Well,
in the next 10 years. Please let us know.
Yeah,
Well,
well, I
I'll
think
pursue you.
last little thing, and then we got to say our goodbyes so that we don't run out
yeah.
of time.
Oh, I think the next 10 years, like you said, is with the advent of AI and it's the speed of it and what's going to happen. But
Yeah,
I do believe that you're going to see a lot more stuff being done real time.
Yeah,
That will save money. I mean, the amount of time the you're taking by using Unreal, you're taking a lot of money out of the back end. When you used to have these big giant render farms and these giant to render stuff, you don't need that anymore. And it's like so
yeah,
the capital investment is lower, so you're able to generate more product quicker. It's like it's hard
the
to beat
next
that,
thing.
and I think that is the next thing, and I think it's the all-in-one kind of apps that like Unreal is definitely it's like I would learn like if you're gonna learn uh, editing, I would go with DaVinci Resolve now.
It's
that's what we
so good.
use. It's so good.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
love it.
and it
Yeah,
has After Effects in it. So
yeah. After
exactly.
Effects is good, but a lot of studios, a lot of visual effects studios are like I mean we're still use visual effects studios are still using tried and true methods. You use Houdini, Nuke, and use After
Yeah.
Effects. But yeah, I mean DaVinci Resolve, everything's in there and it's free.
Yep.
It's
With
like
the
Unlike
free
me,
version, you
I
can
did
do
pay
everything.
for it. I did pay for
if
it.
you
I still have the free version. I can do everything.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
great.
yeah, I mean, it's you can learn it, and it's like I would say ultimately the school. If you want to get in the industry, instead of spending 4 years on your degree,
Just go
go and
learn it.
interns, go
Yeah.
intern somewhere,
Yeah.
go get in at the bottom,
100%.
and it's like I think that the amount of money that you'd spend going to school, you'd be better off taking that money, living someplace where they do the work and getting in at the ground level and
Yep.
just whether it's like a production assistant or whatever, and get yourself in the door, and you'll find out what people are actually looking for. There's a big difference between what you learn in school and what actually you need to do in the real world. So
I
And
hope that all of the new people do get internships soon. There are internships open that you would think would not be worth it, but 100% worth it. And
yes.
they're usually summer internships or they're coming up. So take a look.
And don't be
Um,
scared when you see that application. Just apply.
just
Apply. Apply.
apply.
you're
Don't
better
think you're
off
not enough.
you're
Yep.
better off putting your money towards taking that and going to work someplace. I mean,
Yeah.
I know now they used to have internships where they didn't pay you. At least now they have to pay
Yep.
you.
Yeah,
So it's like
big
when
plus.
I was coming out, it's like no, you work for a whole summer. It's like no, you don't. They
Well,
don't pay you a dime.
Rob, we want to thank you for being on the call. It was awesome catching up with you and hearing your story and hoping that you are doing okay during all these tough times. But yeah,
I hope that next time we all catch up like this, we're all on projects and we'll talk about our projects.
yeah,
But until then, I'll be keeping it crispy.
keeping it crispy.
Let's all stay crispy and we'll talk to each other soon.
Great talking to you guys. Take
Yeah.
care.
All right,
Thanks,
Rob. Thank
Rob.
you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
So we also wanted to make sure that we give you the resources that we promised you every episode. This time we wanted to show you how to be able to learn Unreal because Rob was talking about how it's an amazing software to know. So we want to show you how easy it actually is to learn it because they have this amazing learning library and they have a lot of different tutorials that you can take a
You,
look at and learn.
yeah, it looks like you guys can take courses in all the different fields. Like they have the game options, they have film, TV, architecture, visualization, virtual production. They have everything, and this is something we truly do recommend. Like Rob says, potentially this could lead to the future of what animation and all that will be. So why not get in
Yeah.
there and start learning?
The cool thing is they have tutorials and courses. So if you don't have time, you can do a quick tutorial. If you do, then you can do a course. The only thing is that their animation tutorials last I checked wasn't extensive yet, but they're getting there.
Yeah.
So they'll update and you'll see more and more coming up. So keep checking on it. But yeah, that was our resource, and you can take a look at Alejandro, you'll put it down there for
Yeah,
them.
I'll put it in. I'll put it in the job. Yeah, hold on. Job description. I'll put it in the video description for you guys.
Perfect. Check it out.
Another little section we wanted to start introducing is sharing new people's work that we've seen on LinkedIn, YouTube, and just see the amazing stuff that people are posting out there. So I found Thomas Hogan, who used to work with us at Halon, and he just posted this.
This just looks amazing. It's a little bit laggy, but you guys can check it out on his LinkedIn page. He has it posted. It's all done in Unreal, from what I understand.
Yeah, he does a little bit of it in Maya and then brings it into Unreal.
Oh, okay, then Maya and Unreal. It looks amazing. So check out his work. We try to normally pick shots that are from artists that are looking for jobs, since this is a support podcast. So
Yeah,
keep an
bravo,
eye out for
Tom.
the next one.
That was really great work.
It was. As soon as we saw it, we're like, we're gonna feature this one. So great job.
I thought it was great. I thought it was really cool to catch up with Rob and hear how he's doing, hear his stories, and
I
it
can't
was,
believe his life
yeah,
and like his career is amazing.
yeah, and the fact that he's gone through all these different episodes in like the history of production, and they've all had different situations where, yeah, it's exactly what we're going through right now. It's just different terms are like different things are happening, and but yeah, he still was able to continue and keep
That's what I
working.
was. It was interesting to me. I know a lot of people would give up, but he stuck with it, and he's just done on. He's been on so many amazing projects. It's just I'm glad I had the time to work with him.
Same, and just hearing his positivity about like, you just got to
It
keep
helps.
learning. Yeah, it
It
really does.
helps.
It really does. So it was great to have him on board, and I love that episode. I can't wait for our next one
I know. I'm excited. Well, our next guest is going to be another Halon employee
for a little bit, for a little
for a
bit,
little bit, for a short time.
and then they left and went and did their own thing.
I'm excited to hear all about it.
Yeah. So you got to do that ending again. Come on, I know Rob did it, but you got to do it. It's your ending.
Okay, then, let's stay crispy and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Bye.